without bringing up such a bad memory, but that bad bounce in the last game, when you look back at the series, are you satisfied with the fight that your team put forth against
Oh, really proud of our team. We know what everyone said going into the series, that we'd be lucky to keep the games close. I think we did more than that. That's really a tribute to the players and coaching staff, everyone giving their all, and we gave Medicine Hat all they could handle, so very proud of the team.
When you look at the roster and the makeup of it, returning guys, now you have how many of our guys with playoff experience now versus those guys, that was their first taste. How valuable is that going forward?
Well, very valuable. I think actually from December on, we were fighting to get into the playoffs, which through that there are a lot of valuable lessons in games. Games are tight and you learn a lot about yourself as a player and the team. And then getting into the playoffs and just the atmosphere and how you have to play to be successful. It's a great experience for our players and will be very helpful next year.
After that disastrous road trip, were you tempted to make roster changes, coaching changes, any changes with this?
Like I said, same I talked about for the players when I took over, that I wanted a place that had some stability, where players felt comfortable, and that's the same for the coaches. I thought you look at most real good franchises that are successful, they tend to keep staffs and players and everyone together for a long period of time, and that's kind of what I wanted to do here coming out of the past 2 years, how there was a lot of turnover with the players and upheaval. I just wanted to settle things down, and that's something I think I accomplished this year.
Did you see a transition in the franchise, the on-ice guys and the coaches after that? What got them going so that they were so strong coming into the playoffs?
I don't know if I really saw a transition. I think it's just how I felt things should be run, right or wrong. I could be wrong on all of that. I just felt that I know how I would like things to be when I'm playing or coaching, and that is to give a nice environment where people come to work each day, feel comfortable, and feel like they're not looking over their shoulder every 2 seconds, go see the general manager. It was just a lot of turmoil the last couple of years, so that's what I wanted.
Something to that effect somewhere during the season, that we need to really redo something here?
I think I mentioned it sometimes, but I think it was just my natural feeling. I'm a rookie general manager. Okay, now I've got my 1 year under my belt, but I think being around hockey and working in management over the last 25 years, these are experiences I brought forward, and I just naturally, this is how I wanted things to go.
With that being said, the previous 2 years that it was kind of necessary, how do you think it all has played out now?
Well, pretty good, I think. Like I said, I thought the natural step for this team, I said it in training camp, was to push to get into the playoffs, which we did. And then now the natural progression is to be a playoff contender next year and be higher in the standings. Now, if that all happened, we'll see. But I think it's a good progression, and I think things have gone the way they should have.
How excited are you for Madison Liam and seeing what they're going to be able to do for this organization in the next couple of years?
Yeah, obviously very excited. They're tremendous talents, and we saw them this year at age 15, what they can do. Imagine now they're going to come in ready to go. They're not coming in like most 16-year-olds, getting your feet wet up until Christmas and then taking off like a Mathis Paul, as we saw. It took him the first half of the year, and then second half he was pretty dynamic too. So we're looking for big things. We got a lot of good young players, I think.
This is just a stock question that we ask at the end of every year. Do you plan any changes in the offseason? Do you expect everybody to be back?
Are we talking players, coaching staff, everything?
There could be trades at any time, right?
Yes. You know what? My job is to do what's best for the organization. So that will be now an assessment of everything. Starting right now, we're doing player exit interviews, go through all of those with the players, then talk with the coaches, take all of that stuff and speak with Gord Pritchard, and then on with Sean Semple, and from there we'll see where we're going, if changes are going to be made or not. And the players' side, that's always, you're always looking to improve your team, right? That's part of the job, and that's my job, is to always look at everything and try and improve, whether it's the medical side, whether it's the travel side, what have you.
If you need anything, can you see something that you think you need?
At the moment, I'm just going through the process. Honestly, it's been crazy how we were going, and I thought it was going to be a break now that we aren't playing anymore, but it's not. It's very busy. Like we started with player exit interviews yesterday, and I went and watched the final of the regional, and then now we were here this morning, and we're halfway through the rest of the players that we need to talk with. Then it's on to the coaches. So busy. I can't say at the moment.
Does it feel stable, though, based on what you guys were able to accomplish? Going into last year, obviously there was more unknown, but now after what you guys were able to do, does it feel, is that maybe the right word, where you do have that stability?
I think so. I think you get that stability right now talking to the players. They feel good. They come in, we talk about the year. They have some thoughts, which I need to hear from them. I'm not around the dressing room all the time. And it's a real good feeling that they feel like we've accomplished something. We're moving in the right direction. So it's very exciting.
And just on the coaches, further to Daryl's question, do you expect all of them back next year?
Well, we know Ken Schneider is retiring, so he won't be back. And then we're going to go through our process just like the players. We have interviews here with the coaches coming up, and then I'll take my information from that. I meet with Gord Pritchard and then with Sean Semple, and we'll have a plan. I don't have anything right now for you.
How valuable has Ken been then? Kind of that wise kind of sounding board for, imagine, some of the younger coaches, some of the younger players. I imagine he's just been very valuable over the past few years.
Great man. Yeah, really good. I know age-wise, Ken and I are the same age, and you think you can't relate to the players, but it's not like that. Ken's a good man. He spends time with them. He's like a father, maybe to some of them. Very good man, and will be missed. Yeah.
Not to bring up probably a bad memory, but going back to that loss and that bounce that happened, how do you stomach that, and how do you tell the guys that, hey, bounces are going to go, and you sort of lose a season on that fourth goal?
Yeah, I think, Taylor, one thing I've learned last couple of years here, just with the rebuild and stuff like that, you really got to let go of the things you can't have no control of. We didn't have any control of that situation. That was in the cards, or that was God's plan. So, yeah, I've seen the goal happen before, never in such a big moment. Yeah, and it just, I guess one thing that I've learned the last 3 years coaching this team, stuff like that, is really just put your emotions into the things that you can control and things that you can't control. You just got to let go and move on, and it was no one's fault. It's just something that happened that we got no control over.
Because when you look at the series, especially that game, you have to be satisfied, I imagine, with the way the guys played, the fight that they put up against that team. Obviously there was outside noise going in that you guys didn't have a chance, this, that, and the other, but you guys made it hard for them each and every game. So when you look back at the series now, are you satisfied and happy and content with the fight that the guys put forth?
Yeah, I think that we gave them everything that they could handle. A couple bounces here or there. We're playing on Sunday, and once you get them to that sixth game here, bring them back home, it's a different beast. Unfortunately, we weren't able to accomplish that the other night in Medicine Hat, but I think that there's building blocks to this. I think we built a really good foundation, got a great experience for a lot of players, a lot of young guys in our lineup that played, that we expect to have, that will have that callus, for the next couple of years in playoff runs, and understand that as we do get better and add more skill to our lineup, and that you still need that commitment, that will, that survival mentality. That's what can win out in the springtime in hockey, and it's not always about the most talented team on paper.
We talked about after the last game here about just the playoff experience and how guys are adjusting, but now you look at next year's roster, you have 20 guys with playoff experience, not a lot of rookies that are going to have not seen it before.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Obviously, even with Liam and Max had to play a couple of games, obviously with their games that they've been playing, they're playing really important games right now too. So I think that right across the board we've got we're just scratching the surface. This is but come next September 1st, it's not just expectations of playoffs. It's, right across the board from our organization, the standard is going to be raised, and our players are going to know that. Our staff understands that going forward here, and now we want to just keep on climbing that ladder.
After that disastrous U.S. road trip, did you think things were going to change around here? Were you worried? Were you concerned about your team? And what turned it around?
No, because I guess if you look at the 0-6, Dale, Daryl, that's, I think when you look at it game by game like that, it can feel like that and it can feel overwhelming. But in the end, we should have won those first 2 games in the road trip. We just ran into goalies that played their best, one of their best games of the season. We didn't win those games. And then the next couple of games, we were playing with really shorthanded. Brown was out, Keats was out, and we need those guys. So I really looked at our lineup, what we had at that point. It's my job to keep on figuring out ways to win hockey games with that, and that keeps you in problem-solving mode, which I think, you can complain about it all you want or say poor me, but your job is to keep on trying to solve problems. And so we had a lot of big problems to solve that I don't think any team that could be solvable out of that road trip. Obviously, win the first 2 games, it's 2-4 instead of 0-6. So for us, when you kind of start breaking it down and looking at your process, looking at reasons why you won and lost those games, to me, I didn't feel like the earth was falling. I felt that if we had a healthy Keats, we had a healthy Brown, we're a different team, and that's what they're important to our team, and that's where we were with our depth.
Did you change or learn anything from that?
Oh yeah, I think that I've learned. I think this has been a really good experience for my whole hockey career. I think that winning does obviously help in everything, but I think that when you go through adversity, it really tests your character. And this is, I know for me, mentally, it's really tested me the last couple of years. Just staying focused on me. Obviously, criticism's always going to be there, but in the end, guys, we've been through a rebuild. What else did we expect it to be? To me, I think that we should be proud of where we're at right now. I think the foundation, we've hit a lot of individuals this year, had some career years. Team-wise, we've hit a lot of the goals we've set out for ourselves. Bare minimum was playing meaningful games down the stretch. And then we made the playoffs. Everyone can point to how you get to the playoffs or not. I don't even understand that question. There's 68 games, and most teams with the points at 68 games get in. Doesn't matter if you win the last 3 or 4 or not win the last 3 or 4. And really, you look at a record from since after Christmas, and we were one of the top teams in our, we're in the top half of our conference. We had a 500 record or better than half the teams in our conference. So I think there's lots of things that, to be proud of this year. And the biggest thing I think that Dale did is that we didn't sacrifice any of our draft capital for the future or mortgage any of that to attain our goal. So I think a lot of the people that we've been talking about having in-house people here, drafted people here for a long time, and I think that's what we've given our depth chart ability to do that this year, where sometimes when you get to that 0-6, people start scrambling, people start making changes because that's the automatic answer or the easy answer, but we stuck through it. Dale believed in our group, challenged us as coaching staff to make sure we keep on coaching them up and coaching them better and making sure that they're getting better. And right across the board, we had guys have career years this year and without mortgaging any of the future. So I think that we've done a really good job as an organization to attain our goals this year. But once again, it's step 1 in this whole process of building back better and building now, setting the bar for the future. And now we got to start, next September 1st, when we show up here. Now it's more about playing multiple rounds of playoffs.
It's a lot more stable this year. Was that easier to deal with? Didn't have to go to the airport. It's like, who's coming in, who's going out?
Yeah, I think at heart I've always been a team guy, Daryl. So you need culture, you need longevity, you need for people to care about the Regina Pats, and we had almost 48 players play for us last year. That's 2 different teams. I don't know what the numbers are at this year, but it's going to be at 30, mid-30s, and that makes a big difference. Now we've got players that have been on our team for multiple years, and that makes a big difference of care and love that you give to the team. Otherwise, we were just, last couple of years, and it was no one's fault. It's what we had to go through. It's what rebuilds are. We had a lot of people that were spare parts off other teams, that necessarily, that were just, it was what it was. And now we need to move on, take the lessons, what we've had for the last couple of years, apply them to what we're moving forward. But the biggest thing I think we've done is just raise the bar.
Going back to Game 5 there, you guys had lots of tight one-goal games early in the season. What was kind of the mood going into that overtime?
Well, going into overtime was just belief that we're going to win. Even going in after it was 4-3 going into the third period. What's the difference of the first period? It was 2-1. We're still a one-goal lead in Medicine Hat. Will we not take that, boys? And the thing is anything. It's just keeping it in perspective. It's you can be overwhelmed by the moment because they scored 2 goals at the end of the period, and now you're feeling those emotions. Or you can really be, look at a big picture and be like, it's a one-goal game. And we're leading, So I think it's stuff like that. Me as a coach have learned. We got to teach those to the players that you can't let the emotions dictate, your next shift. You need to let, the actual situation, the scoreboard, and staying level-headed to keep on moving forward.
What did you say to the veteran players like McNutt and Brown who won't be returning to the WHL now?
I think just thank you very much was the biggest thing. They're a big piece of. I wish they could be here for the next 2 years because, they're going to be really proud of what they started here because they're with people that when we got, they were older people last year. We had traded away a lot of our leadership and older people, and we thrust a lot of leadership responsibility onto them, and it's like a workforce, guys. All of a sudden 20 new people show up and you all of a sudden going to start clicking and also going to start going out for lunch. Like, that's not the way it works. It takes time, it takes trust to build relationships, and as hockey players you're even more guarded because we all got silly egos for the pecking order of scoring goals and winning hockey games and all those things. So those guys really took the bull by the horn, and it was difficult. It wasn't always perfect last year, and we had to build on our culture because we had new people here and different people here and not people that were drafted by our team. But now when you look at it, you guys said earlier, we're going to have 15 players in here that are going to be back next year, and 15 players that are going to be with 3-4 years experience, or they've been drafted and developed here, and it makes all the world of difference if you look at right across the board. That's what the model is, and unfortunately we just had to take us 2 years. I would say this is our 3rd year of it. 3rd year is us building out a little bit pieces. Now it's into our 4th year next year. That's when things start to turn around, and unfortunately that was a situation Al was faced with when he came here, and Dale took that over and did the best that he could, and we didn't sacrifice any draft capital to attain any of our goals. And I think that's something that is going to really bode well that for when Maddox and Liam are coming of age. We didn't have that with Connor. We didn't have in-house Lancers and Classens and Keats Fawcett that it can be our best players and our leading scorers. Where Max, or when Connor came in at 16, is like automatic. Here's first line center. Here's first line power play, and not like those guys won't get that stuff, or they probably will deserve it and push for it. But it's we had to go out and make changes to our roster to surround him, and I think that we're in a better position now with our draft capital to be able to do those things without mortgaging the future.
How exciting is it now, having Liam and Maddox had some experience, to kind of get to take them on full-time next season and see what the future holds?
Yeah, I think it's so important because I've said since day one here with those guys, even asking the development question, to me it's about experience. Those guys are going to make mistakes, but once they make a mistake once or twice, they get it. And it's about timing. And look at right across the board, like the second half of the year, Maddox was with us for 6 weeks. He was a point per game player, but he was practicing every day with us. He wasn't going to that yo-yo effect. And, hats off to Pat C's and, Haji for what he did at that team this year, because I know for me it wasn't easy juggling it, and I can only imagine for him and what their group was with juggling it. and obviously what Liam and Maddox had to do, I think it's a very difficult task. There was no perfect model before us. We were the test dummies for it, and really this model I don't think was set for 2 people. I don't think they even thought that was a possibility when because that, exceptionals or these things only are 1 person usually in a draft, and have 2 on 1 team. There was lots of logistical things that made it real difficult for everybody, but I think that we did the best we could to work between the 2 organizations, and obviously with them winning yesterday and them being part of it, them playing playoff games with us, I think that we did the best of our abilities to make that work.
What emotions are you feeling right now?
Yeah, a lot of mixed. It was such a great ride, and there's definitely aspects of sadness and just kind of the missing of the boys setting in already, and it's tough. I think at one end I'm just really happy that I was able to have such great times in this league and looking forward to the future. But yeah, there's a lot of mix for sure. I'm real happy that I have another opportunity to keep pursuing the game of hockey, and on the other end, I'm just going to miss the boys and miss all the memories I've made.
What does it mean to you to be such a big part of this rebuild and know that you left the team in a better place than when you came?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a great feeling for sure. Looking at how much potential this team has and all the young guys coming up, they're a real dialed-in group, and yeah, it's going to be great. Super cool to see Pusey and Schulte, especially in a few years, and I hope that they can take this team to something special.
At the end of the series, obviously not the way you wanted to go out, but would you say you were overall happy with how the team performed?
Yeah, it's tough. It's a weird feeling to be happy with losing a series. It's definitely a strange thought, but I think going into it, we were always hoping to win, and I think a lot of people had other thoughts about it. A lot of talks about a sweep, and I think we were really pleased to get 1 win out of it, and especially a couple of those other games. We pushed them hard, and even that 8-2 game, I've talked about it before. It didn't feel like an 8-2 game, and I think we're pretty pleased that none of them were blowouts. That one felt like a blowout score-wise, but it certainly wasn't actually play-wise. So I think we're pretty happy that we were able to stress them out for a series and kind of put them on their heels. And good, all the best to them, though. Good luck to them.
You talked the other day about that U.S. road trip and how bad it was for you guys. How did you rebound from that? What turned things around after that?
I think really just sticking to it. The U.S. is always tricky, and it's a long trip. A lot of these guys aren't set to a long trip like that and haven't had that in the past. So I think just knowing that it's kind of uncharted territory for a lot of guys, and knowing that it's going to be difficult, and I think just coming back and sticking to it and not dwelling on the negative kind of parts of the road trip and just getting back to it, and we're able to squeeze a couple wins quick, and that kind of just got us rolling, I think.
This team had made a lot of trades and things over the past 2 years, including one for yourself. Did you think there might be changes after that trip? Were you guys worried about it as a team?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I think there's always talks, always rumors and stuff, guys talking to other players and on guys on other teams. I think that's just talk that's always going to happen regardless. But I think we tried not to, think of the what ifs and stuff like that. Although they're going to happen, it's not really possible to keep them out. But I think we wanted to stick with this group, and we truly believe that we were able to make playoffs, and as we did. But I think it was just a little hiccup and a tough road trip that can happen sometimes.
Thanks.
I believe there was an opportunity for you to be moved right at the deadline or earlier in the year. Why did you want to stay?
Yeah, tough question for sure. Yeah, I mean, some guys on their last couple of years want to go on a run, and I mean, I did too. I wanted to go on a good playoff run and finish off on a real high note. But I think I look at it a little bit differently. It was a high note in a different regard. I was able to help a lot of young guys out and enjoy it with such a young group and see them progress, and it's going to be all worth it when I watch them win a championship in a few years.
I was going to say, as a now alumni, when you look back at this core, when you're watching them in 2 years, what are you going to look back? What are you going to look back on as your time with them to see that progression?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be much on the ice, honestly. I think I'm going to think of a lot of the relationships I built and the bonding we've had and just the fun times we've had. I think it's going to be so cool to see them kind of progress and excel, and again, hopefully they get to that championship level. But it's just going to be really cool to think back on the memories we've had together, and yeah, it's just it's going to be special for sure.
What's the summer like for you now? Do you head down? When do you head down? Do you head down time for September or what?
Yeah, I'll head back just before September, before first semester, and we'll do a little training. I'm not sure when regular season starts this year, but I'm lucky enough that they don't need me down in July or anything like that, so I can still enjoy my summer. And I'll be going back to Pinoca, Alberta, and then to Nova Scotia for a trip, and kind of bouncing around. Still enjoying my summers as much as I can. Yeah.
How dialed in were you on Bentley's season? They ended up having a really good season this year. How excited are you to join them?
Yeah, it was really cool. It's a great feeling, seeing a team kind of at their high, coming in there. Historically a program who's done well, but they're really starting to pick it up as of late. And yeah, I think it's a pretty cool thing. We're getting into playoffs, and they were going to the tournament, and yeah, I think it's really cool to kind of come into a team who's already so high. The last couple of years I came in and to a team kind of during a rebuild and during some, a little bit of darkness, as we all could kind of see. And I think going in when things are already high is going to be maybe a little bit easier.
Going back to the regular season there, you guys were kind of in playoff mode coming down the stretch. Kind of what changed maybe going into these Medicine Hat games? Because you had a couple rough ones right at the end there.
Yeah, again, I think I just keep going back to just sticking with it. I think that this group was so good at just letting things fly by. You can dwell on a loss for a short amount of time and kind of see what you need to change and see what you need to learn from. But I think just making sure it goes by quick is what we were so good at this year. It kind of felt like we were playing playoffs the last 5 games or so because we needed those points. But yeah, I think going back to that, we just stuck with it, never really got too down on ourselves, and we're able to just focus and do well against Med Hat.